Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and you can bet your ass Andy's here.
Oh, am I seeing things, Michael? Or is that you over there? Am I hallucinating? Andy. Is that you?
You are not. Are you on the shrooms, Andy?
Oh, not yet, Michael, but it might have to happen by the end of this episode. You got me so enticed already by this episode, like just sending me the timeline. I was like, ooh, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's not those types of shrooms, Andy, actually.
Oh, I can seriously are over-prepared then.
Yeah. Well, this ought to be interesting.
This episode's about to go off the rails.
Yeah. Speaking of off the rails, last week on Headlines and Shenanigans, we talked about Chad Daybell and old Doomsday Mother, and an update on that case. Both of them have been convicted.
They have been sentenced, actually.
Sentenced.
They are now one of them. Yeah, Chad. Oh, good old Chad got the death penalty, man.
Oh, Chad, good for him.
Yeah, Chad got the death penalty while Doomsday Mama, she's in prison for life as of right now.
Well, that's going to have to be good enough, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if that death penalty actually holds true, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, what is it, South Carolina? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, speaking of someone who deserves a death penalty, the Gilgo Beach killer Rex Hewerman. We did an update on that fella. 2 more bodies have been tied to him.
Yeah, I know we always say innocent until proven guilty, but, they just keep tying him to you, man. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's rough, huh?
Yeah, it's like when they just, and another one. And another one. It's like, okay.
Well, that damn pizza slice, bro. It did him in.
You got and that fucking apparently his fucking instruction manual he wrote himself there. That was one of the.
That's a bit damning, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the things we talked about last week, man. Dude, when they go to your house and they find a how-to in your handwriting, that's it's kind of hard to bluff that one away.
It really is.
What? I'm just cosplaying. What do you mean? It's for my Ted Bundy outfit this year for Serial Con.
Oh God, yeah, it's a rough one. But guys, you can check all of that out wherever you listen to podcasts, but you can also catch every free episode on Patreon, a little bit early, ad-free, and with a little bit of bonus content, a little bit of pre-show banter.
Yeah, just the banter.
Well, it's a little bit about the case sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Usually not.
But it is. It's like a nice little...
Basically what we do is, me and Andy, we get warmed up. We come in here, we just turn on the mics, and we just start recording. And so we like to put those little snippets at the end of every episode. So if you want to check that out, you can at patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Also, guys, we have a few custom patches. I was cleaning up the studio the other day and dug out some cult shit patches. If you're feeling nostalgic, it's the yellow patch that has the characters of me and Lauren on them, and our shirts say, "Let's go do cult shit." If you guys want to get your hands on one of those, send, $3 to PayPal. They're on sale, right? truecrimeguys@gmail.com. That's our PayPal email. Send us $3. Put us a little note in there, say 4 patches, and we'll send you a couple. What do you say? Also, we got a new hit single out called The Roofman.
The Roofman.
That's The Roofman. Sorry, Andy, I always mispronounce
The Roofman.
The Roofman, the single that served as our intro to the Roofman episode on Mr. Manchester. What's his name? Jeffrey Manchester. Yes, who was caught right here in our good old home state of North Kakalaki.
Right down the street, too. Right there in good old, was it Belmont? Yeah, it was Belmont. And the nice McDonald's.
The nice McDonald's, as we like to call it. But today... we are talking about a very interesting case, a headline that caught my eye. Woman kills husband with mushrooms. And I was like, say what now?
Yeah.
How indeed did this take place?
Yeah, it's almost one of those questions. It's like, Michael, what were you actually researching when you stumbled across this?
Don't worry about that, Andy. Because on Friday, April 24, 2020, a passerby called 911 to report a dead body laying in a ditch by the side of the road near Noblesville, Indiana. There were no signs of trauma, no identification, no abandoned vehicles, and no witnesses. And later, they'd find blood and toxicology reports weren't much help either, at least until they decided to test the stomach contents of the newly identified David Fouts, who they identified through his fingerprints. He wasn't a stranger to the law. He didn't have a rap sheet, but he'd done his little bit of time. But once they tested his stomach contents, they had finally found a possible cause of death. Apparently, he had last eaten bits of poisonous mushrooms.
Yeah, it almost seemed like a case, almost like a True Detective opening for a thing at first. Like you walk up, just passerby finds like a body just laying in a ditch, like shoeless, cold, no signs of trauma. No,
set the scene for us,
yeah,
Andy.
It does. It seems like the opening of like an episode of True Detective. It's just a lone body laying in a ditch, cold, no signs of trauma. No, it's just a very weird. Like, wait a minute, this doesn't look like a murder scene.
No,
this doesn't look like a This is a confusing scene right here.
Someone did some research, and we'll find out that for sure. One of the detectives on the case, Greg Lockhart, he said there is little known about mushrooms, and there is no case in the history of the world where they've been intentionally used to kill someone. At least this type of mushroom. Is what Detective Greg Lockhart said. I don't know how he could make that statement.
I also know how he doesn't make the statement. There's little known about mushrooms.
History of the world, dude. Come on. How can you say for sure someone's been killed by mushrooms in the history of the world?
Sure.
I mean, I don't have documentation, but for sure that's happened.
Yeah, how many times people got poisoned in the Middle Ages? That was one of the most leading causes of death. He's like, oh, I'm just going to go foraging for some herbs. Come back with some death caps. It's like, yeah, my husband was kind of a dick this morning. It's what, yeah. Like, how many people just got poisoned back in the day? It was like one of the easiest ways to get away with murder.
No doubt.
So, yeah, I'm sure someone poisoned someone with mushrooms back in the day. And still, like I said, there's not much known about mushrooms. There's a lot known about mushrooms.
There's a lot known about mushrooms,
Maybe not by you. Maybe you asked around the office. It's like, hey, a mushroom guy? We got a mushroom guy here. You might know anything? You know, like shiitake or baby, like little baby caps.
Rotella?
All right, I guess it's not much. Man, there's just not much known about mushrooms, I guess. It's off topic. This is off topic, I guess.
Exactly. This fungus eventually led to the arrest of David Fouts' wife, Katrina, and his father-in-law's caretaker, Terry Hopkins. Quote, the weirdest thing about this case is the mushrooms, Detective Lockhart said. The murder was almost perfect. But there's certain things you just can't get away from. They overthought it. They did stupid stuff in the end.
Apparently you can be overprepared.
You can be overprepared. So let's find out what kind of dumb shit they did, Andy. Shall we?
Okay.
All right, roll that intro.
Given everything as it played out and looking at the totality, looking at the contact stopping, when the contact stopped, those sorts of nuggets made very clear that she knew exactly what was going on and in fact would have been involved and had apparently made that agreement with Terry to kill David. The mushrooms end up being this weird, in one regard, a red herring. If they were the mushrooms that we believe them to be, or that Dr. Ames said that they are the L-canatum. And if they have muscarine in them, then it could have caused him real problems. The problem is some of the additional testing of David's tissues didn't show the residuals of that muscarine. And so that hampered that theory that the muscarine had that direct effect on him. There are obvious questions of how did David die? And the worry in our theory is that if he'd been given the mushrooms and he might have had a horrible experience, and just on a human level is sad and disturbing, and it's frustrating that we're not able to provide that sort of closure to David's family.
All right, so right off the bat, when a person in a marriage goes missing, usually they start with the spouse, right?
It's like 50% of the time it works or was it 60% of the time?
It works every time, yeah. I'm pretty sure. And pretty quickly, police discovered that Katrina and David Fouts had quite a troublesome relationship. Believe it or not, David and Katrina Fouts were technically still newlyweds when he was found dead in April of 2020. They had just married the previous year after dating for 3 years, though. And it was the second marriage for both of them. So they're not no spring chickens, right? And they've been together for over 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so when detectives first spoke to Katrina Fouts a day after David's body was discovered, she said that David had been having an affair for months, and they'd been living in 2 separate homes that they owned. I imagine that maybe both of them still had a home until they got married.
Probably.
See what I'm saying? And then they split back into those homes.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. She also added that she hadn't seen her husband since Tuesday, April 21st. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, also, when police ran a background check on David, they found that he worked as a senior consultant and technology architect at a company called Salesforce in Indianapolis. His friends described him as an avid cyclist and a multi-talented person with skills in woodworking and mechanics. But they also found that he'd been charged with domestic battery and invasion of privacy by Katrina herself just a few months ago, in September of 2019. Now, David claimed that it never happened and he never touched her. But regardless, a judge had issued a no-contact order between the two, and they had an upcoming court date where David had planned to fight the charges, but coincidentally, he never got the chance.
So yeah, like I said, didn't have exactly a rap sheet. He hadn't been officially,
No.
gone to prison for anything.
They
But,
didn't even prove the fact that he hit her.
Yeah, he had just been charged with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when police found David, he had his left arm through the sleeve of a pink shirt and a leather rifle sling across his face. And there were cutting marks near the neck area of his pink shirt and evidence that David's ankles and wrists had been taped with duct tape. Now, given the state of David's body, including that his feet were still bare, but they were very clean, officers concluded that David obviously did not die in that location.
Yeah, like I said, it's very True Detective-esque. Walking out there, it's like he was dumped here almost. Like it's very
Exactly.
clear, like this is not a murder scene. This is a dump scene.
Exactly. So now Katrina is looking a little more suspicious, right? Maybe she isn't this innocent victim that everyone originally thought.
If I'm not mistaken, she also kind of said a few things along, like she just, as soon as they asked her about her husband, she immediately said, like, we haven't seen each other. We're a little bit estranged. He's been having an affair, but she basically had like nothing good to say about him except for the fact it's like, oh, he's also been struggling with mental health issues, and he's said a couple times about he's really struggled with this and that, but he's just not a good guy. I don't know. It's just like. She over-explained herself, like they said. Like
right.
she kept adding on. She kept like, and this also. And did I mention this? And
Yeah.
And did I also mention, like, you said a lot so far.
She's just making herself seem even more suspicious.
Yeah.
And her search history didn't help that at all. It revealed web searches like crimes of passion in Indiana and what it takes to get an arrest warrant for murder in Indiana. And that wasn't all. In her pictures, they found a screenshot of the death cap mushroom, which is its technical name is, I'm going to do my best here, Liophyllum conatum.
Pretty good, I guess.
Liophyllum conatum mushrooms, to be exact. Because of its high toxicity and common presence, it is the most dangerous mushroom and the cause of the majority of fatal poisonings, which we must assume are on accident.
Yeah, accidental foraging.
Since no one has ever killed anyone with mushrooms in the history of the world, Andy.
Never a single case of that.
Never. It has the typical shape of a mushroom, the typical cap, but it has a ring around the stem. Its most characteristic color is olive green, although some specimens may be yellowish or even white. The gills are white with greenish streaks, and the stem is white. Now, it may be confused with green russulas, which if I'm not mistaken, I think are a very, very healthy and delicious mushroom.
Mm-hmm. I think that's why it's one of the accidental poisonings.
Exactly.
This is accidental foraging usually.
Exactly. Remember, russulas do not have the ring.
Yeah.
So if it has a ring, do not break the ring.
Yeah. Leave the ring alone.
Leave the ring alone. Now, the problem with these mushrooms was that the prosecutors could not prove that they alone killed David. But they did find evidence of muscarine, which is the chemical that makes mushrooms poisonous.
The toxin.
Basically. The toxin, exactly. Yeah. They did find traces of muscarine in his stomach. So, here's another quote from the detective. It says, even if you're dead, it will metabolize out of your body. So there will be no signs of this poison or this toxin in your body within 72 hours. And David had been dead for a few days, at least when he was discovered.
So they basically got lucky there, too, that it was still there.
Yeah, seriously. It was right at that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, phone records showed that David and Katrina Fouts had contacted each other many times in the weeks leading up to his death. But starting on the afternoon of the 22nd, all contact stopped both ways. Katrina's phone records revealed that she had also been talking to a man named Terry Hopkins, who was a retired police officer and now the caretaker for Katrina's father. He's kind of like a friend of the family.
Yeah, he's almost like a fatherly
He's an older
figure.
gentleman himself, but Katrina's father is much older, and he's kind of there for him to help him through the daily stuff.
Yeah, I think he's about 15 years older than Katrina, but yeah, he's not exactly old enough to be your father, really, but he's like a father figure.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how Katrina described him. And like I said, she said he was a friend of the family. So police check out the cell phone locations, right? of Hopkins and Katrina during this back and forth, and around the time when David was believed to be killed. And when you know it, both of them were in the same place on April 21st. And both of them shut off their phones in the middle of the night, Andy. And both of them turned their phone on around 11 a.m. the next day.
I mean, somebody just wanted a really good night's sleep. You know, sometimes do not disturb mode is just not enough.
Right.
Sometimes you really need to unplug, Michael.
You just got to completely unplug, take those batteries out.
Yeah, man, just toss them outside, you know?
That's right. So police weren't buying it. So they ended up searching both of their homes. And they found a walkie-talkie in the glove box of Katrina's vehicle, as well as a matching one in Hopkins' pickup truck.
Hey, we just role play as Smokey and the Bandit sometimes. It's just a thing we do.
That's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
That's not a crime.
Why are you judging us for this?
There was also a box at Hopkins' home that contained a box cutter, duct tape, knives, tarps, rubber gloves, zip ties, and rope. And Hopkins was caught on security camera buying all of that shit.
Yeah, he bought it all like relatively close together too.
Yes, he did.
He didn't have that Walter White walk up to him going like, "Don't buy it all together. Space out your ingredients. Go here. Buy the patches here.
Buy it all in one place.
Stay off my turf."
But he wasn't done, Andy. He also bought 2 blue tarps, a lifting sling, and a 500-pound hydraulic lift at a hardware store in Muncie, Indiana.
Hey man, sometimes you got to move some heavy shit sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes. But that wasn't the only evidence. The shirt that David was wearing when he died, the pink one, had blood on it, and DNA testing showed that at least some of the blood belonged to Terry Hopkins.
So they must have had to get a DNA sample from Terry Hopkins pretty soon or early on too. Yeah. Like I said, he was
pretty cooperative. We'll get to that.
But. Yeah, they like I said, they overplanned. They were too giving with information. We'll get to that. But
now David's DNA was also found on a rubber mat that was on top of the lift cart that Hopkins bought, while Katrina and Hopkins' DNA was found on the lift cart box. So one of the detectives said, there is no smoking gun, if you will, in this case. We have to take all of these little pieces, they're all part of a puzzle, and put them back together. The picture is that Terry and Katrina were in cahoots to get rid of David, end quote. And on September 17th, 2020, Terry Hopkins and Katrina Fouts were arrested. And it wasn't long before Hopkins spilled the beans and confessed to police that Katrina had plotted to kill her husband by feeding him poisonous mushrooms.
No, but no one's ever done this before, Michael.
No one's ever done this before. I mean, she's, in that aspect, what a pioneer.
I mean, this guy must be blowing these cops' minds right now.
I mean,
they must be calling their friends in there, being like, "You gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. She used mushrooms. I know, right? Mushrooms.
On purpose.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Should we call Guinness or something? Like, what do we?
It's the first time.
Like, seriously.
God, what a revolutionary. Here's a quote. Here's a quote from Hopkins. He says, Katrina walked in and said something to the effect of, "Honey, did you eat those mushrooms that I made for you?" And David said, "Yes." And then he said he didn't feel good. He was having trouble breathing. And at that point, I walked in and there was an altercation. I put my arm around David's neck and kind of squeezed him, and David stopped moving, end quote.
That's never a good sign when, like, your spouse kind of walks in and asks just a suspicious question. It's like, "Honey, did you eat all of that special meal I prepared for you? All of it?" Yeah, why?
What?
Why? Why?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just always a suspicious question when you get asked that, like, just, "Hey, did you finish that? Did you eat all of it?
Yeah.
Tell me you did."
Right. Unless you're a parent to a kid, then you can ask that all the time unsuspiciously.
Yeah, when they bring an empty plate back, it's like, "Hey,
what? You're just spreading that food around. Eat all that shit. Right? Get all back up to a pile."
Did you actually eat that? No.
Not full of me.
No. Show me the dog bowl right
Eat
now.
that shit. Why is the dog licking his chops? Huh? Oh no, you're getting another serving. No.
Trying to find the perfect gift for someone special in your life, but feeling overwhelmed? Finding a truly unique gift that they'll actually love can be a challenging and frustrating task. That's why I'm so excited that I discovered Songfinch. It's such an amazing, thoughtful gift, and it's easy and fun to make. Songfinch lets you create an original, radio-quality song inspired by your own life and the people you love. It's completely unique, personal, and lasts forever. Unique add-ons make the gift even more special, like a vinyl record of your song or a one-of-a-kind art piece made from your lyrics. You can even add your song to Spotify, guys. Whether your song is for a birthday, a holiday, an upcoming graduation, or a wedding, or maybe just to show a loved one how much you really care. Start your song now to lock in a top Songfinch artist. That's what I did, Creepers, and I couldn't be happier. Me and my girlfriend celebrated a special anniversary just a little bit ago, so I went on Songfinch, I got my artist, I gave them just a little bit of information about who we were and what our song was supposed to be about. I answered some questions, I got some back and forth, and then in just 4 to 7 days, I was gifted a gorgeous song to gift my partner. So guys, if you want to take a listen, here's a little snippet of how yours could sound.
We're both writers and we love stories. That's where I started to merge. And ever since you domesticated me, I know that we've both grown. Now I can't imagine life without you. I love you more than you could know.
For a limited time, Songfinch is letting our listeners upload their song to Spotify for free, so you and the lucky person you gifted to can listen to it anywhere, anytime. So go to songfinch.com/creeper and start your song. After you purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming to your original song for free for a $50 value. Again, go to songfinch.com/creeper. And don't forget to share your song with us too. So go to songfinch.com/creeper and do it today.
So when police arrested Katrina, she was in possession of a bag containing $40,000, Andy. Yikes.
I wonder where she got that money.
She was also in possession of a phone that had a very interesting web search history. You know, just some little things like know your rights, spy escape. You know, she Googled spy escape. That's kind of hilarious.
Must be a hot mobile game or something.
Yeah, it must be. How to disappear completely. That's a good thing to Google.
We all need to know.
That just in case.
Yeah.
How to move away and never be found again.
It's
Kind of the same thing.
I feel like that was a
kinda
link
redundant.
search. Like
Yeah.
that was a did you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, fake driver's license ID USA.
Has this woman never heard of incognito mode? Like what the fuck?
DuckDuckGo?
What the fuck, woman? Like just
You know
fucking
incognito mode doesn't really work.
just
Andy,
raw
on
dog
Google.
and Safari out here. What are you doing? Just like I said, with that $40,000, conveniently, apparently $40,000 was like roughly exactly as much money as David had in his account when he was pronounced dead. It was
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, it was like, where'd you get this money? It was like, and they checked. It was like, oh, the last bank statements from David show that he
Listen.
had about $40,000 in this bank account. And now
Yeah.
you show up with a bag of. Where'd you get that money, Katrina?
Yeah, exactly. Also, I mean, if we learned anything from Breaking Bad, $40,000 is not enough to disappear.
No, it's not.
Not even close, honey. You're not getting out the country.
No, he's gonna,
$40,000, they're going to laugh at that shit.
he's gonna relocate you to Omaha and just say good luck. Like, just gonna kick you out of a van somewhere and
He's going to shave your head, slap a wig on you,
Yeah.
send you out the back door.
like I said,
Good
just
luck,
kick
honey.
out of a moving van. Good luck. Here's an ID card I picked up.
Here's your Agnes Glimshaw now. You kind of look like her. There you go.
It says I'm 84 years old.
yeah.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
She doesn't have a lot of family left. It's perfect.
And why don't you look into her Social Security? Go ahead.
But after the arrest, Terry Hopkins was in declining health. And by the time he confessed, he was in dire state, honestly. He died before he could even go on trial.
It's almost like it was eating him alive.
Well, no, he was already sick. He
I
was
know.
he was already terminally ill.
Yeah, but I'm saying like his condition did like progress pretty rapidly.
It did.
It's like it almost seemed like the stress of it all was just like progressing his sickness to be like
Absolutely, and I think it made him more irrational.
yeah. And I
you
think
know?
it made him. I think it actually made him more open to confessing.
More
too.
compulsive too.
Yeah, I think it made him more open to confessing too.
Oh,
at the end.
definitely. He's
what-
like, I have nothing to lose.
I'm dying anyways. What have I got to lose?
Yeah. You tend to believe someone like that, right?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, Terry's ex-wife later stated that he had never been the same after he had a stroke, which I believe happened a few years before the incident. She said that afterwards he just became just more aggressive, just overall.
I think the stroke is what made him. Isn't the stroke what made him retire from the police force? I believe because he had been an officer for like 35 years, I believe.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I think it was actually the stroke that was not too long ago why he kind of switched into this caretaker role.
Yeah, she said it kind of changed him. It did, and I think, and to hear her talk, it's most likely what ended their marriage.
Yeah.
I think you could hear it in her voice, you could see it in her face, like she still loved Terry, but not that Terry.
Yeah, it wasn't the same Terry anymore.
Exactly. To her, it wasn't. And to her, this new Terry is someone who could have been manipulated, someone who could have been, tricked even into committing this awful thing if he thought that Katrina was in danger.
Yeah.
And he has nothing to lose. He's a friend of her family.
And like you said, he's very impulsive. He doesn't have anything. Yeah, he could do this because he doesn't think he has anything to lose.
Exactly. And even though he comes forward with all this, and like I said, his testimony means so much, like it has to. Katrina was still found not guilty of murder by a jury in 2022. But she was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder as well as failure to report human remains. And she was sentenced to 34 years in prison and won't be eligible for parole until 2046, and she'll be the ripe old age of 80 by then.
In her prime there.
In her prime, the golden years.
Right? Yeah. Like I said, I believe they said they could not charge her with murder because they could not prove that the mushrooms actually killed him.
Exactly.
Because the mushrooms would probably cause asphyxiation. They would cause his throat to swell. They would cause these different things to kill him.
But so would choking someone out.
Yeah, and since Terry did confess to strangling him from behind to an extent, they had to basically be like, okay, technically that could have been the death. Like that could have killed him. It could have just knocked him unconscious. But
I think it was a little of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think an older gentleman like Terry, in the declining health state that he is able to strangle a young cyclist. Like this guy was an avid cyclist. This guy was in shape.
You have to think that's why he got the hydraulic lift. They couldn't even pick up. Like they had to use this hydraulic lift to to move David's body.
But what I'm saying is the mushrooms were already working. In order for Terry to overtake David.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They already had to have been in effect. So I think it really was a little of both. It really was a little bit of the mushrooms restricting the airway. And then, Terry had enough strength to finish him off.
Yeah, or at least just make him pass out enough for the mushrooms to finish
effect.
The job. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
At least put him incapacitated enough. But yeah, like I said, Terry was in declining health. He was not as strong as he used to be. That hydraulic lift, that was used to lift David's body into the back of, I think it was like they had like a Kia something, like a rodeo. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But they had like an SUV that they were using to transport Katrina's father
I know they
around.
had a Volkswagen Tiguan, the SUV, right? And then they had Nissan Rogue.
That was at the
Nissan Rogue is the one they used to move the body.
He had put the hydraulic lift to get them in there. And they were saying it was like, we needed to move some heavy things. It's like, you bought this like the day he went missing. Or like the day after he, went missing or whatever. And so it's like they clearly didn't even have the abilities to do this without the mushrooms and the accessories. So like everything had to be over-planned.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think you have to really trust Terry's testimony there at the end to be kind of like, yeah, we did all this kind of stuff. It's whatever. Do what you got to do to me. But I can only do so much.
Exactly. The only thing I can think that's more trustworthy than that testimony is "Oh my Gaia."
That is a trustworthy statement right there, Michael.
It is.
You can take that to the bank right there.
You can take it to the bank.
Certified, stamped, notarized.
Smells amazing. Boom.
Approved.
Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Guys, their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while still maintaining effectiveness. That's key, right? That's the whole point of deodorant.
Yeah, you won't be getting no fungi. You won't be getting no funky right there. I'm growing no fungus on there.
No, absolutely not. We've had enough fungus for today.
Whole mushroom episode. this right here. You want to prevent that funky smell like those mushrooms?
That's right.
Get that. Oh my Gaia.
But they got vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside. So many delicious scents, including barbershop and, of course, our very own scent, True Crime Pine.
Oh, that's that good right there.
Can't forget about True Crime Pine. That's a great place to start. And start with the word creeper, because you can get 15% off at ohmygaia.com, ohmygaia.com. You can use the code word CREEPER, CREEPER, for 15% off your order. Make sure you give them a follow at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram to know about all sorts of deals and offers when they happen.
Oh yeah, Michael.
I try to share stuff on our Instagram story, keep you up to date on what's going on with Oh My Gaia. But sometimes it's just so much goodness going on. You got to go check it out yourself.
You can only keep up with so much.
Exactly. Speaking of goodness going on, patreon.com/truecrimeguys, right, Andy?
That's some good.
So much good. Guys, for just $2 a month, you can get access to every Patreon exclusive episode we have ever done. And I think we're up close to number 80.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
it's quite a few. Not to mention past catalogs of all types of shows like Higher Thoughts and Strange Shorts and 5-Minute Murders with Lauren and all kinds of stuff on there. There's all types of series. But again, that's patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Also, most importantly, you get access to all of these episodes early. No frickin' ads. Except for Oh My Gaia.
And that bonus content.
That BC.
Mm-hmm.
You
get
get
BC, guys.
You get it all on Patreon. Patreon.com/truecrimeguys. There's a link to everything that we plug right below the description of this episode. Okay? Also, check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. There's new videos going up every week with shorts going up on the daily or, every other day or something like that. All kinds of shorts going on over there. Also, what else are we looking about? What are we talking about, Andy? Spotify.
Oh,
Don't forget about Spotify. We have music on Spotify. Go check that out. If you're a fan of the music that we do for the intros of the episodes, the original songs and whatnot, please go check out our True Crime Guys artist page on Spotify where you can jam all of those tracks.
Like that Roof Man.
The single that was just released. All right, I think that's pretty much it, guys. We'll be back next week with a brand new True Crime Guys episode. All right.
I think that's about it, Michael.
I think it is. Until then, guys, just keep on creeping.
Bye.